A corpus is a large and structured body of data selected to represent, as far as possible, an object of study or research. Typical corpora include A. Collections of text or documents, and B. Databases of images, videos or audio recordings. The notions of large and structure depend on the specific object of study. For instance, a corpus for studying Old Persian cannot be large because we only have about 30,000 words of this language, and because most of them are rigid and formulaic inscription. Such a corpus may contain some structural annotation, but it is obvious that cannot be and cannot meet the usual criteria of size or representatives discussed in the literature on corpus linguistics. Lexicographers who defend the independent status of lexicography, particularly those working within the function theory of lexicography, also argue that a corpus does not have to be linguistic in the traditional sense that I explained in lesson 17, but that this corpus must be lexicographic. And the main characteristics of a lexicographic corpus are the following. 1. A lexicographic corpus is not necessarily compiled for making dictionaries. It can be used to create lexicographic data for different functions and purposes, such as, for example, producing glosses. This corpus is constructed exclusively to support lexicographic activities and not general linguistic research. Secondly, a lexicographic corpus is dynamic. It may be modified or updated at any time. 3. A lexicographic corpus is an instrumental tool. It provides data that help lexicographers make decisions about the creation or validation of lexicographic data. Therefore, it is not constrained by linguistic theories and is not required to undergo a specific filtering or curation. In other words, it is neither balanced nor representative in a traditional corpus linguistic sense. 4. A lexicographic corpus is evaluated according to how well it supports user-oriented functions. It must supply adequate data for communicative or cognitive purposes, for example. This means that it may include many types of objective or subjective lexicographic reference data, such as spoken and written languages, figures, video clips, audio clips, and so on. Number 5. A lexicographic corpus is not concerned with sampling criteria such as representativeness, balance, external parameters, or size. Its sole aim is to support the lexicographic description of words and expressions. It is not intended to be falsifiable, replicable, or aligned with a particular linguistic theory. And now we are going to explain what working with the lexicographic corpus means in practical terms. There is no doubt that the Internet offers a vast amount of potentially relevant lexicographic data. As we note, for most of the world's population with internet access, the layperson's first recourse nowadays is not to consult a print dictionary, but to use a major search engine such as Google or Yahoo or Baidu to search for lexical meaning, triangulate the various sources and arrive at the intended meaning. I think that lexicographers can improve on this common practice by using the web as a lexicographic corpus for these reasons. 1. The web contains an enormous amount of text across a wide range of genres, styles, and subjects. Although this data is generally unstructured, that is to say, it may not correspond to a particular register, style, or dialect, it provides rich evidence that lexicographers must interpret and evaluate in light of their project. 2. The web is continuously updated, making it an excellent resource for tracking the emergence of new words and expressions, as well as changes in the meaning and uses of existing items. Tools such as Google Ngram Viewer illustrate this dynamic dimension. Using the web as a corpus has advantages and disadvantages. Let's go to see them. Let's go to start with the corpus advantages. The first advantage is its size and diversity. The web offers an enormous and diverse collection of text covering countless topics, genres, languages, and varieties. This can provide a more comprehensive view of language than traditional smaller corpus. Second advantage, currency. The web is constantly expanding and reflects up-to-date language, including slang, neologism, and emerging construction. Advantage number 3 is its accessibility. Web data can be accessed and gathered relatively easily and quickly, which reduces the overall cost of lexicographic projects. Another advantage is that the web offers multimodality, because the web includes not only written text, but also multimedia elements such as images, videos, and audio clips. And these are particularly useful in describing, for example, physical objects. For instance, the best description of a horse is often a picture of a horse. As I said before, using the web as a corpus, as a lexicographic corpus, also has disadvantages. One of its disadvantages is the quality and reliability of the data we extract from the web, because we know that the quality of web-based data varies significantly. Much content is unedited and may contain errors. Another disadvantage is concerned with copyright issues, because using web-based data to compile lexicographic information can involve, for example, copyright infringement, which may be illegal or at least unethical. Another clear disadvantage of the web as a corpus is the lack of metadata. Web often lack metadata such as date, author, or register of the text in question. And this can limit lexicographers' ability to describe semantic change or variation accurately. Another disadvantage of the web as a corpus is what we call noise, because the sheer volume of web data includes a large amount of irrelevant material, for example advertisement, spam, duplicated content, etc. And this complicates data collection and analysis. In spite of the disadvantages, I think that we can use the web as a lexicographic corpus. And here is, for example, how we can work with Google Mini Tests. Google Mini Tests are an example, in my opinion, of a lexicographic corpus. Google Mini Tests are the short snippets, typically 1 to 3 lines, displayed beneath each Google search result. These are automatically extracted from fragments from the web containing the queried word or phrase. Although they are neither curated nor annotated, they constitute valuable lexicographic evidence because they represent real-world usage. Google Mini Tests provide, for example, immediate usage evidence, which is useful for checking, for example, collection phraseology, spelling variants, common syntactic environments, metaphorical uses, neologism, etc. They also offer up-to-date examples, revealing, for example, emerging meanings, trending expressions, new constructions, and regional or informal usage. Google Mini Tests also reveal sense discrimination in a quick and easy way, because they enable lexicographers to identify dominant senses, obsolete senses, and they supplement, or they can be used as supplement to linguistic corpora when, for example, we lack especially samples for new or rare words. In other words, Google Mini Tests can fill this gap, because Google Mini Tests are important. They can become part of a lexicographic corpus, but only when lexicographers use them systematically to support practical tasks such as drafting definitions, ordering senses, and selecting samples. This is the case in my work on the Diccionario Digital del Español, DIDES, and the workflow is as follows. Number 1, a lemma is in the editor, that is to say the lexicographic database, and this lemma is selected and searched for in Google using quotation marks. A standard Google results page appears. The first 3 pages are ignored because they typically contain dictionary entries and advertisements. The mini tests and subsequent pages are examined to gain an overall idea of the subject matter. Relevant fragments are copied and pasted into a Word document, and simultaneously examples, test chunks, synonyms, antonyms, and word formations, for example, idioms and multi-word items, are selected for inclusion in the corresponding fields of the editor. Several Google pages are reviewed until no new information appears, after which the process is repeated for another word or expression. And this method is really very quicker and very useful for finding out and working with multi-word lemmas. And multi-word lemmas tend to have up to 2 meanings, often including a figurative one. And once a satisfactory amount of empirical data has been collected, it is grouped by meaning. And based on this grouping, lexicographers craft definitions and select the lexicographic data appropriate for each sense. That is to say, their synonyms, antonyms, examples, expressions, etc. In my view, this method has proved very useful, especially for lemmas with up to 5 senses and idiomatic expressions, most of which have, as I said before, 2 meanings. For example, Google mini tests for the Spanish expression comer a dos carrillos reveal the following. This expression has 2 basic meanings. One is literal, to cram down food, and another one is figurative, to hold several positions or benefits at the same time. And the Google mini tests also reveal that this verbal expression of the verb comer is conjugated. That means that we have to conjugate the expression with the verb comer, while the rest of the expression remains fixed, remains unchanged. The analysis also revealed that the subject of these expressions in the literal sense is a person, but in the figurative sense it may be a person or an institution. And the analysis also revealed that the figurative meaning only occurs in informal context.